Let's hone in on the micro picture and get a look at what stocks investors should be bullish on or bearish on, according to our next guest. Joining us now, we've got JJ Kinahan, who is the CEO of IG North America. JJ, great to have you back on the program with us. Let's talk about that. I mean, as we're squarely looking into what is going to be another kind of firework-filled earnings season potentially, where are some of the most bullish and most bearish names that you've got on your list?
Yeah, so I'll talk about what our clients are doing through our Tasty Trade platform. And it's really interesting to me. The number one bullish stock over the last week has actually been CrowdStrike. That is one that when I looked, I was like, you got to be kidding me. But again, talk about a stock where perhaps all the bad news is out. At the end of the day, they still have these contracts. Now, they had a tough time signing some new contracts. There's no question about that. But I think the general belief is this bad news is built in. So it's a stock that may make sense for many people to take a chance on as we head into the fall season. So, and they have rolled out some new products, et cetera. So again, by far the most surprising thing I've seen. The next two make a little more sense to me. Microsoft, and the reason Microsoft happens is we've seen now for 4 years running, when there is problems in the market, the stocks that people ran to for the longest time was Microsoft and NVIDIA, Microsoft and Apple in terms of confidence. Then it went to Microsoft and NVIDIA. And don't forget, as you reported last week, we had a pretty good sell-off. Yesterday, a pretty good sell-off. Now it just seems to be Microsoft sort of standing alone a little bit. It really is the bastion of safety outside the indices from the retail investor. So it's really interesting that pretty much for the last 4 years, every time we start to go down, that's the stock that people turn to for a condition of safety, if you will. And then the last one, Coca-Cola, this is I think that they got a lot of respect in the industry, if you will, with the fact that they had that spicy drink, clearly was not hitting well with clients. And so they immediately cancel it. And, you talked a little bit earlier about maybe happy hour drinks are a little more expensive. Well, they came out with the Bacardi and rum and Coke partnership here. So we'll see if that becomes a quick staple of the happy hour.
JJ, what about the warning, though, that we got from PepsiCo this morning, the fact that they did say that weakening consumer? Are you looking at that as a headwind here, not only for a name like Coca-Cola, but more broadly, the consumer staples sector?
I think that where you're going to see it, yes, I think it's something, Seana, you have to be aware of. But that I looked to the other side of the ledger, if you will, for what our clients sold. And one of the stocks I see leading the way there is Target. And so that's, obviously a very mainstream, people go to shop there all the time. And that's one of the leading stocks that people have been bearish on. So that one makes things a little bit interesting to me. And also from the consumer sector, the consumer side, not necessarily a staple, but certainly a stock that's had actually, I think maybe surprisingly to many of us, had a really impressive run over the last month and a half, being UAL. And that is also one, I think it's a combination of two things there. Some people taking profits, and also people saying, the travel sector, we have weather. Obviously, you guys are reporting on some of the weather things going on right now. If the consumer really is as strong, the employment report, we have CPI, PPI next couple of days. We get to see a little bit more of that. So I think that plays into exactly what you're asking about, Seana. So I think what's happening is they're being a bit more selective in the stocks, but Pepsi's questioning may be good for Coca-Cola in the long run.
What do you think the theme is that prevails this earnings season, JJ, especially as we have been talking about this focus on the consumer?
Yeah, I think the two big things we're going to want to hear starting this Friday with the financials and going into the next two main areas. A, is the consumer going to continue to spend money? B, what's the outlook for housing? I think those are obviously interest rates, et cetera. Everybody's going to talk about, but in terms of what the individual companies are delivering, what the CEOs need to talk about. And by the way, I think that this is always one of the most interesting earnings seasons, the fourth quarter. As we head into the fourth quarter, the reason being they're going to talk about what happened in Q3, but at this time of year, one of the things everybody's doing is planning for next year. So you're also getting an insight into what the CEOs should be thinking for the following year and how they're planning. So again, I want to hear what they are thinking about in terms of the consumer health overall. We'll get a big, speech on that, I would assume, from the CEO speaking this Friday and early next week. And again, they're also going to give us some insight into what the housing market looks like and what their interest rate predictions are going forward and how they're going to affect it. Because again, you guys living in New York City, I don't have to tell you how crazy rents are and how is that affecting people as well as the price of housing itself.
You certainly don't. We know that we're all too familiar with that trend. All right, JJ Kinahan, always great to have you. Thanks so much for joining us here this morning.
Thanks. Have a great day, guys.